Hello everyone, welcome to the Daily News Protocol of the Hindu newspaper analysis contributed by Vishnu IS Academy. Today we are going to see the news articles for the date 22nd April 2022. Yesterday in our session, I have given you an MCQ, right? I hope all of you tried it. Let us see the analysis of this question now. The question is this: which of the following statements is or are correct? Here the keyword is to identify the correct statements, right? The first statement says that cryptocurrency is a virtual digital currency that is decentralized. Yes, it is correct. Why? Because it is the virtual. The cryptocurrency doesn't have any physical form in it for that, and also it is a digital currency. And as there is no such regulation by the government on it, it can be identified as a decentralized currency. And the next, second statement reads as the central bank digital currency CBDC is the legitimized crypto of India recently announced by the RBI. It is saying that the CBDC is legitimized by Indian government, but it is not correct. Why? Because the RBI has announced some suggestion that it will focus on CBDC to implement it, but not yet that process is implemented. So, it is not yet legalized, the CBDC is not yet legalized, hence the statement is wrong. And the third statement is from now onwards, fiat money and the CBDC both would be the legal tender in India. If it is wrong, it can't be, the CBDC can't be a legal tender, right? We know that the fiat money, the money in the present circulation is a legal tender of India. But the CBDC is not yet the legal tender of India. Hence, the statement, the third statement is also incorrect. Hence, the answer for this question is A. Today also we will have an MCQ at the end of the session. Try to listen the class carefully. Moving forward, let's get into the topics. These are the listed topics for today. We are going to see the impact of Ukraine war on India, India's energy needs and requirements. And also in the second topic, we will see entire news about the PMGATI Shakti scheme. And next, we will see the price distortions in the Indian economic sector, ease of doing business and the cost of doing business. We will discuss that topic. And also in the next topic, we will see the hobby hubs announced, a new initiative, a new creative and innovative initiative announced by the Delhi government. And also in the prelims facts, we will see some 3 facts. 2 bills became acts. We will see those news. And at the end of the session, we will see the MCQ. Let us jump into the discussion. Our first topic for today is Ukraine war has hit India's bid to move away from coal, Finance Minister said. What happened here is recently our Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has attended a meeting conducted by IMF, that is nothing but the IMF spring meetings. And also she has participated in the roundtable meeting of Atlantic Council, which is a think tank. In that, various energy discussions were done, and as a part of that, our finance minister, our respected finance minister, has opined that the natural gas, which is a transition fuel, is of short supply and its price is also going up and up. Here we can find 3 reasons for that. The availability of natural gas is reducing day by day, and the transition from the coal and fossil fuels to the renewable energy is taking time, much more time for India. So, if we can see the reasons for that, the short supply of natural gas is one of the reasons. And next, the war, Russia and Ukraine war is also affected some imports of the natural gas into India. And if you can see the third reason, it is nothing but the rise of the prices of crude oil because of the situations, crisis in the European nations. Okay, learning all these things, if we can see that the demand for coal is almost twice the amount of carbon dioxide. Okay. So, hence, almost all of the world's energy needs are met by coal, oil and natural gas, but coal releases almost twice the amount of carbon dioxide relative to natural gas on a kilogram to kilogram basis. So that is the importance of the natural gas. Why? Because the coal, as we all know that the coal being the fossil fuel, produces more and more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So hence there is a need to increase the utilization of the natural gas, a renewable way, a green energy to be implemented. That is the importance of the natural gas. Moving forward, let us see, there are some pressures on India from the external countries. That is very specific regarding the US. It is imparting some pressure on India to reduce the imports taking from the Russia. So, but if we can see the imports of Russia to India, those are approximately 1.2% of India's energy. That pressure is there on India. So, under the COP26 meeting, almost majority of the nations opined that to move towards the phase down process but not the phase out process. What is the phase down process here? Phase down is nothing but the gradual reduction of the usage of such a fossil fuels and dangerous fuels, energies. So, but what is phase out? Phase out is the sudden reduction of the fossil fuels, but it is very difficult procedure. Why? Because we can't suddenly stop any usage of any energy. So hence the phase down would be a feasible mechanism to be followed. That is the opinion opined by majority of the nations under the COP26 meeting. So let's see if there is any support provided to the developing nations from the developed nations. If we can see a concept here, it is called the climate finance. What is climate finance? Climate finance is nothing but the transfer of public finances from the developed countries to the developed countries and to provide them the additional resources. Okay, and ultimately to mitigate the emission activities. Okay, that is the main concept and definition of the climate finance. So India is now asking to increase the climate finance by the developed nations. It is showing that there is a lack of climate finance. If you can see the figures here, it is $1 trillion in climate finance is in the requirement. Okay, so what climate finance, how the climate finance works? It will reduce the emissions and also enhance the sinks of greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, and also India is moving toward the net zero emissions by 2070. There is a target to that, right? To achieve that till the year 2070. What is net zero here? Net zero is nothing but the difference between the production of greenhouse gases and the reduction of the or removal of the greenhouse gases from the environment. I hope you understand that. The balance between the greenhouse gas emissions produced and removed from the environment is nothing but called as net zero. So it is to be achieved by the year 2070. To achieve all these, and also recently our ministry, our renewable energy ministry has got the target to achieve the 500 gigawatts energy by the year 2030. Earlier it used to be 450 gigawatts, now it was revised to 500 gigawatts to be achieved by the year 2030. And to meet 50% of its energy needs from renewable sources by that year. It is the target put by the India to achieve all these actions, to move towards the environment friendly mechanisms. So hence the India now is on a path to move towards the natural gas and the renewable energy resources, and in that scenario, as our finance minister has attended that meeting at Atlantic, so India is raising the points that there is a requirement for the natural gas production, and there are some drawbacks and bottlenecks for the natural gas production, which are nothing but the short supply and the impact of the international wars and the hike of the crude oil. So hence there should be some way forward and mechanisms and schemes should be started to achieve these targets. Moving forward, let us see the next news article. PM Gati Shakti. Pardon for this. The Prime Minister Gati Shakti scheme is announced in the year 2021. PM launched the scheme in 2021 as a national master plan for infrastructure development. Infrastructure development is including every area and all the 16 ministries of India. The infrastructure will be planned at such a huge sketches, and also including railways and roadways. If you can see that Gati Shakti, it is a digital platform. Okay, it is a digital platform, and it will also use technologies extensively, including the ISRO imagery technologies, using the BISAG-N. BISAG is nothing but the Bhaskaracharya National Institute for the Space Applications and Geoinformatics. So, using these technologies also, PM Gati Shakti will focus more on the infrastructure, and also it will work along with the NIP, National Infrastructure Pipeline, which is targeted to be achieved till in the year 2020 to 2025. So, the PM Gati Shakti also includes that NIP, and the theme of this scheme is Pragati ki Gati, Bharat ki Shakti. Some quotations and statements like these are very important for your mains answer writing. If you can use such quotations, you will fetch attraction of the examiner and you can get nice marks. So, the aim of this is nothing but connecting pillars of India. It covers all the infrastructural areas, including some schemes, Bharatmala, Sagarmala, ports, Udan, and economic zones and railways, etc., roadways, and inland waters. Every infrastructural schemes will be included under this scheme. And also it will focus on the social infrastructure as well, such as hospitals, universities. All of them would be integrated into this scheme and would be focused to be developed. And also it will focus on the economic zones and the new possibilities to develop those economic zones will be examined under this scheme. Okay, these are all the points to be learned under this scheme. Moving forward, let's see the next news article, that is nothing but a discussion between the ease of doing business and the cost of doing business. We are saying that we have achieved a lot in conducting the ease of doing business by attracting the foreign investors, FDIs and FPIs and FIIs. All will contributed to increase the ease of doing business in India. But are we examining the cost of doing business in India? Are we examining the consequences of cost of doing business in India? If we can go into the details of that topic, the action is needed to reduce the government policy induced pricing distortions. Why? Because there are occurring some price distortions because of the government influence and several factors. We are going to discuss all those factors. And also, in our open economy, these pricing distortions have become a source of competitive disadvantage to both the domestic value and also the job creation. Ultimately, because of the less focus on these costs of the business, it is resulting in the less job creation. Why? Because it is not being available to majority of the populations of the nation. And also, if we can see the price distortions in energy, let us see the points regarding the CIS. If we can see an example like vehicles running with petrol and the diesel. Earlier in the olden days, the petrol cars were considered as luxury goods. Hence, the cess used to be imposed on them. But later on, the margin was reduced drastically and no such a cess was being implemented on that in recent days. And it resulted in the increased revenues to the government significantly. and so they are not included in GST. And also that's why it is increasing pressure on the government also. And this increased the road transport of goods a costly affair. Ultimately, what is the impact of all this? It would affect the road transportation very higher in the cost manners. It is becoming costlier because of all these scenarios. So hence the government has to focus on these factors to reduce the cost of the business while focusing on the ease of the doing business as well. And also if you can see any electricity price distortions, there was a cess on this coal like 400 rupees, but it will increase the burden on the railway sector. The burdens on the railways will be increased, but the railways has to bear that burden, and they can't impose that burden on the passenger tickets. Okay, as they are predetermined, and the tickets should be user friendly in if we can consider the prices of those. Hence the burden would occur on the railways because of the cess on the coal. There is a chain is forming like that in every sector if we are not considering the proper cost of those goods at every levels. So hence, it is the cross subsidized with goods ticket price, which makes transport of goods cost rise. Again the transportation of costs would go higher. The price of the transportation would go higher, which in turn increases the household costs as well. The goods transported with such a higher costs will increase the prices of the goods as well. That will show effect on the households. Like that, a chain is being formed because of such initial high prices of goods and all. And also if we can consider any cost distortions regarding the land and real estate, the cost of obtaining a land is also very high. India has had a real estate asset price bubble with return on land assets by way of rents or returns like around 2%, which is very far lower, okay, than the cost of capital. So that's why the real estate returns are very less, but the land cost is very high. There is a much huge difference between those of two, the cost and the profit coming out of it, returns. So hence the land use conversion should be made user friendly, and they should be reframed some redevelopment processes. So hence if we consider all these things, we have seen three scenarios, right? Energy distortions and price distortions and the prices in the land distortions. There are so many examples like that to be considered. So hence to control the prices of all these businesses, our authorities and we as a people of the country should focus to reduce the cost of the business as well as to focus on the ease of doing business to ultimately achieve the proper job creation. And the surge in private investments can also be raised if we can take proper steps to address all these problems. Okay, now let's see the next news article, the hobby hubs. Hobby hubs is very much interesting. Actually, I like this innovative idea very much. Why? Because it is very creative. Why? Because the hobby hubs are going to be initiated in the government schools itself. Without investing much on it, the authorities has planned to bring some individuals or NGOs or any voluntaries to focus and train the government students. It is such an innovative step. Let us see the specifications. For the academic session of 2022 and 2023, this program is going to be conducted to only the single shift government schools. It is the initiative of the Delhi government, so hence it is applicable in the area of Delhi only, and also to the only single shift government schools. The idea is to make optimum use of school infrastructure as it is focusing on the single shift government schools. The next shift will be free and to use that free time of that infrastructure of government schools. This initiative can be implemented. Okay, it is to promote the extracurricular activities among the students, mainly focusing on the areas dance, music, arts and crafts and yoga. So many things are being focused, and coding also is being focused under this initiative. And if you can see, the authorities are focusing on 3 types of members to be participated in this. Those are the individuals, the private academies and the NGOs. All these 3 sections can come and train the students. They can work on it voluntarily, or they can take charge from some private students also. As a part of this, 50% of that class should be of government schools, and other 50% can be the private students. They can charge those private students to train them those skills. And also, no student from that government school shouldn't be denied. If such an initiative is being taken in one government school, every student who is interested to take training under that scheme should be taken. They shouldn't be denied. Okay, so all these are the specifications of this scheme. Let's see the next news article. Now we are going to see the prelims facts of the day. And we have discussed this as a bill. Now it became an act because of the assent of the president. Okay, the Delhi Municipal Corporation Amendment Bill 2022 got the president's nod. Hence now it became the act. Hence now the unification of 3 municipal corporations of Northern and Western and Southern municipal corporations of Delhi will be unified from now onwards. It is some fact to be noticed. And later, India leader in traditional medicine, says the WHO chief. As we all know that the traditional medicines are very much quite famous in India from the ancient days. So now focusing on that, the WHO is saying that India is the leader in that traditional medicine area. There is an initiative undertaken in the backdrop of this news. Global Center for Traditional Medicine is being initiated in the state Gujarat. Okay, so and it is of a first kind of its type, and also it will focus on data, innovation and sustainability of all the traditional medicines. Okay, this is also one of the fact to be remembered. And next, moving forward, we have discussed about this the Criminal Procedure Identification Bill also in our earlier class. At that class, we have studied this as bill. Now it is also got the president's nod and became the act. It has replaced the Act of 1920, Identification of Prisoners Act 1920. Now we will have the Criminal Procedure Identification Act 2022. Okay, it will focus and it will empower 2 sections of authorities. Those are nothing but the police and magistrates. What is the function of police under this act? That is nothing but to obtain the physical and biological samples of convicts, and the magistrates can order. They will have the power to order to take such measurements under the investigation of any case. Those are 2 powers given to these sections, to the police and the magistrate. And we have seen in detail what type of data will be taken, the iris and the fingerprints and the palm print and the footprint and the signature and the language and the written skills of that victim. Everything will be undertaken as a data of that victim. Now, if such a huge data is being taken, would that be protected properly? So, to ensure that a central database would be maintained to store that data, and also in any case of acquittal or discharge of the person, all material must be destroyed later on, so that the personal privacy of that victim can be answered and ensured. Okay, this is one other fact. Moving forward, let's see another MCQ of the day. This is the question for you. It is a homework for you to be done. Let us see the answer of this question in the next session. I hope you are preparing well, and We'll meet in another interesting session in the tomorrow. Okay, thank you.